Shalom, so first foremost, I do not give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bashim El Shaddai, Bashim Kakadash. To go into the apostles, now great millstone for teaching us truth, peace, and blessings to the whole collective Israel. Yahweh is the name of the Father, name Jebu, Bashim is the name, Yahweh Shai is the name of the Megan Son. Back in our lesson. And as you see within the title, or this may be another MOTB update, but I'm probably going to title the lesson, steps towards a cashless society or something to that effect. Because we all ultimately know what this is leading up to, as you've seen the various steps and direction that this step was heading towards. Dealing with the many implementations of, Amazon One, we're able to pay with the palm of your hand. You're seeing many stores implementing, more self-checkout aisles. You're seeing convenience stores implementing a system to where if you want to open, certain doors within that store, you need to scan and show your ID, on a certain thing in order to open that door. Now, we got Costco, they used to, push, physical IDs that they, a Costco ID, whatever they like to call them. But, they used to pretty much do that physically, but now they're pushing, digital IDs. So you see how everything is moving towards a digitized system, a digitized currency. Just so much in the whole digitized route in general. And ultimately, all that is going to be ran through the MOTB, which is the RFID CIP. And this right here is just one step towards that direction. Which is, the point. Go back to the title, steps towards a cashless society. As I made that point, ultimately all of us can be ran through that charagma. That's going to be that universal remote. If you don't know what a universal remote is, pretty much it goes to everything within your house. You can connect it to your TV in one room and also in the other room, and connect it to your console. You get the idea. Everything to be ran through that MOTB once again. But I don't want to start the intro too long. Let's get this quick article and a couple of scriptures going to prophecy, because we are seeing the conditioning that this devil is doing, preparing you for this beast system. Now it says instant view, U.S. House sends Genius Act, which is what they're pushing, which I believe was recently signed. It says a stablecoin bill to Trump to sign. I'm not sure if that's I meant to correctly word that, but it says the U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday passed a bill to create a regulatory framework for U.S. dollar-pegged cryptocurrency tokens known as stablecoins. Here you see, how the dollar is pretty much in the dumps, sinking down the drain day after day. Many other nations are leaving and dropping the dollar, so they're going to swoop in with this so-called solution. A digital currency. Something bigger, something better. And as I made that point multiple times already, it's to be ran through that MOTB. Because once and everything about you, your credit cards, your ID, everything's going to be within that small little C-hip. They're going to be pushing this in the name of so-called safety, security. That this is for your benefit, for your well-being. It's easier to use, this and that. All the so-called cool things you'll be able to do. You're going to have people be deceived and tempted into taking this thing, man. And it says, sending the bill to President Donald Trump, who expected to sign it into law. The vote marks a watershed moment for the digital asset industry, which has been pushing the federal legislation for years and poured money into last year's elections in order to promote pro-crypto candidates. But as I made that point, you see everything is moving towards a digitized route once again. But let's see what this other article has. I just searched the Genius Act. But the Genius Act passed. Here's what it means for USDC and stablecoin adoption. Now it says the newly enacted Genius Act provides a federal legal framework for stablecoins like USDC, ensuring transparency, safety, and regulatory clarity for all users from retail to institutional. So you see, it's for your safety, it's for your benefit, it's better. You don't have to carry cash on you. You don't have to carry your credit card. I mean, you see the route they're going. If you have the eyes to see. And we've been warning you to probably how these things like this were coming. And ultimately, all of this once going to be ran through that MOTB, which is the RFID chip once again. As I keep saying, it's like it sounds like a broken record, but gotta be pushing that point across constantly. Because things like this, go over people's heads. But let's see a little bit more. It's official. The Genius Act was signed into law on July 18th, 2025. This marks a significant milestone for stablecoins like USDC, which was co-founded by Coinbase. After years of regulatory uncertainty, stablecoins are now operating under a formal legal framework. That's a big deal for both retail users and institutional players. This is a turning point for anyone using USDC and on Coinbase to transfer money, let us settle payments, or manage digital liquidity, including consumers, payment service providers, banks, and businesses. So once you're just seeing the conditioning, you're seeing the foundation, that this stuff has been laying out, the infrastructure, all leading and building up towards what's in this beast system, which will be ran through the RFID once again. And it should be crystal clear by now with what the MOTB is. But the Security chapter 2 verse 11 now says, "Let Satan should avenge us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." So we see right through this devil's plans. The Lord has said, "A watchman, which are those prophets among you, to warn you of these coming times, to especially stay far away from that MOTB, which is coming very, very soon." Once you already see the infrastructure foundations being laid out, you're seeing the various apps this devil has been implementing, slowly. Dealing with Amazon One, we're able to pay with the palm of your hand. You see many examples of there in China where people are able to pay just by scanning their face, and similar, things to that of Amazon One, where they're able to pay, scanning their hand or palm. Are you not seeing the conditioning that they are doing? How they're preparing you for this beast system? I brought up a point earlier dealing with these certain stores, implementing, more self-checkout aisles. And mainly I was wanting to, reference once again, dealing with that convenience store. You see many examples of that where people are now having to scan their ID in order to open, certain doors. I believe I made a lesson a while back where they have pretty much IDs in schools where you need to show the ID on, I believe it's on they put it on the lockers or something, but you need to scan the ID on the locker in order for it to open. So you're seeing how everything's moving towards a digitized system once again, and it's still like if I sound like a broken record, but Lord will, getting the point across. One more time for my top set, Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. I said, "Let Satan should get vengeance, for we are not ignorant of his devices." So we're not ignorant of these things. And we see that right through it. We're seeing the build up. We're seeing, the foundation that's being laid out. We're especially seeing, the conditioning. The paving of the way that's taking place. There's Revelation 13:16 through 17, one of the main scriptures that you read by now already. And it says, "And called it was small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." And that's also another thing you see in Elon Musk creating the Neuralink, which is the mark on the forehead. Other companies, following it to creating, similar things. And really, people are now taking things like that. You have multiple examples where you have this one person that they either took the Neuralink, it was something similar to that, the Neuralink, but it was implanted, within their forehead, and now they're able to pretty much move the mouse on a laptop or computer screen, which, just their thoughts, of where they're, what direction they wanted the mouse to move. This other example was a woman. It was thinking of a sentence with what she was wanting to say, and it was displayed on the TV screen. So you're especially have many people be deceived, via these miracles they're going to be on left hand side through this technology, having to be tempted into especially taking it. Because you see all the promises they're especially making, that people that are paralyzed be able to walk in, that they're able to connect the nerves back together, and all the other intricacies which I'm not sure of. People that are blind are able to see again. These are the promises that they are making. So you're gonna make people hopping on board, and especially be lining up, man. But we're wanting to probably how much my shot to stay far away from it. But you're gonna have people calling us crazy and mocking and scoffing, saying all sorts of things, and you saw that even happen back in the year 2020. Dealing with the implementation of the juice, that concoction that was pushed out, and how you needed to have it to go to certain jobs, to travel, to do certain things. But you saw how the people looked at you like you were crazy for not wanting to take it. You're selfish, you don't care about the people around you, yada, yada, yada. You even had people that were fined and jailed over not taking it, especially not even wearing their mask. And you saw the many complications that came with that. But that was an example, a little trial run of what the Lord's getting ready to do. That was just a pop quiz. And now they iron out the kinks. Now they're going to go full blast. Now, it's verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that the mark or the name beast or the number of his name, and very soon you won't be able to live a so-called normal life without that charagma, that MOTB. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to go to your job. You won't be able to buy things. Once and everything is me running through that MOTB. And this is how they're going to especially force many people's hands, especially dealing with Jake. A choice will have to be made. And only one of them is correct. But I believe I made a lesson just yesterday. Go into how the Lord guides us. Have faith, have trust in the Yahweh Shem Shah. That's who we're going to rely upon. And especially call upon these last days when we're in a time of trouble. Because that's who's going to take care of us and defend us in these coming times. Especially when we're without food. The Lord's going to find various ways for us in order to eat. These miracles the Lord's going to perform. Hey, the Lord got this once again, man. But still in the main track, main point, dealing with MOTB and the implementation of it. Just like it's trying to find my words, but what you are seeing, the conditioning that's taking place, how they're slowly preparing you for that charagma, and how this could lead to once again that cashless society. Once again, this is a step towards that direction. A paving of the way. As that saying goes, the apostles that was say, all roads lead to the MOTB. And this is exactly what it's leading up to. But Isaiah chapter 10 verse 1, as a woe unto them that decree and write his decrees, and that right grievance which they have prescribed. Now it's going to these draconian like laws. When you go into that word draconian, it goes to harsh, strict, severe. I brought that point up dealing with back in the year 2020, dealing with those restrictions, those mandates that were in place, how people were fined and jailed over not wearing the mask, not taking that concoction. Because I made that point, they held checkpoints to where you show proof of verification that you're not positive, that you have the juice, which especially at certain jobs you need to have it. But once this is an example of what's to come. One more time from our top. We want to tell them that decree and righteous decrees and not right agreements which they have prescribed. So these draconian like laws and measures that they're going to implement and push out. in order to force your hand. Wasn't further going to these mandates, these restrictions that's going to put into place in order to force your hand. Because once a choice will have to be made. Now, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, even him who's coming is under the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. So you're going to have this double performing miracles on the left-hand side through this technology. Sorry, and have many people deceived, especially tempted to taking this thing. But the cons far outweigh the pros, which usually it goes the other way around. The pros and the cons, but in this case, the cons far outweigh the pros. The pros being the so-called benefits. In all reality, there is no benefits in taking that MOTB, man. But you're gonna have Jake, choose so-called life on this side, thinking that this is going to save them, that they're able to live now. And now you just signed a waiver. I don't want to say sign a waiver, but you got a one-way ticket, front row seats to death, thermonuclear destruction. And I was gonna say, sign a waiver, or you sign your life away. You are through. Because now you have front row seats to the true, 4th of July. The fireworks show that the Lord's going to unleash upon this place, which is going to be those thermonuclear missiles, man. But it's Revelation 2:10 now says, fear none of those things thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast thee into prison, that ye may be tried. And you have tribulation 10 days, so we're going to say a period of time. But going to show the adversities and the persecution that we're going to face for not bowing down to this beast system, for standing stiffly and boldly for the Lord. We're going to be hated, ostracized, demonized. Made that point. People look at you like you're crazy for not taking the concoction, the juice. And look what ended up happening. Matter of fact, that they came out in the end saying that there was major complications that came with taking that juice. So look at who was right in the end, the prophets. And guess what? The prophets will be right again. Ezekiel 33:33. And lo, when this comes past, lo, when it cometh, then shall know that a prophet has been among them. If you paraphrase, you're going to know that a prophet has been among you, warning you, man, telling you of these things. You had this one football player saying that people that didn't take the juice or that were against it should be fined and jailed. It was something to that effect. And look what ended up happening to me. He ended up taken out from it. So look at how that turned out. Now this, which I already just said. Read from the middle right here. I thought I read it all. And that says that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So that it's the reward and your prize waiting for us at the end of that finish line. But further going to show, we're going to be tried, we're going to be tested. It's not going to be walk in the park. But as we can especially get throughout various scriptures, the Lord got us, man. Now, as Revelation 3:10, because I was kept with my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation. What is that hour of temptation going to be? Mainly when the MOTB is presented in front of us. Now, so which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So everyone's going to be faced with that question. And there's only one correct answer. And that is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, denying that MOTB. But you taking that charagma will be your demise, will be your downfall, as we read right here in Revelation 14:9-10. As I made that point, how the cons far outweigh the pros. Sure, it may seem or look cool, just dealing with the certain things that you'll be able to do with it. You'll see in holograms, listen to music within your brain, and Jake is heavy on that. But Jake's going to see the so-called benefits in these things. But we were warning to this probably to stay far away from it, man. This is not to be just glossed over or taken lightly. It's not something that you can just say, I'm going to get it in my left hand and then take it out. I'm going to get it in my right hand for a few seconds, buy what I need, then take it out. No. You take this thing and you're dead. Pretty much. Plainly put. As we're going to read right here in verse 9. And their angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image. And how do you do that? By the way of receiving that MOTB, that Kuragma. That then goes to show that you are in agreement with this beast system, that you're making Esau Edom your god. And receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. And this goes over Jake's head. Just how you have people seek up their dogs and cats and brand their cows. Why do they do that? They go to show they have ownership over it. And this is what they want to do to you. But this goes over their head. You're looking at it too deep, yada, yada, yada. Look at all the so-called benefits and all these different things. As I made that point, many people be deceived. But the elect won't fall for the bait. Now this is verse 10. Now the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he should be tormented with fire and brimstone. What's that fire and brimstone going to be? Those thermonuclear missiles. And the presence of all the angels and the presence of the Lamb representing Allah Al Shai. So you will be faced with destruction, death, judgment for receiving that MOTB. For being down with this beast system. So once again, a choice will have to be made. A side will have to be chosen. You're either with the Lord or against him. And most of our people are going to be against the Lord, man. That's why you get in 2 Corinthians 13:8. How 2/3 are going to be cut off, destroyed on this side. But that's pretty much the point right there. We're going to make a quick lesson going to this Genius Act. And what this is all ultimately leading up to, I made the point earlier, how all roads lead to the MOTB. This is just steps towards the implementation of that RFIDC, of this beast system, and how they're slowly conditioning and preparing you for, once again, that RFIDC, as I said various times throughout this lesson. So if this continues to go over your head, then there's a serious problem. It should be crystal clear with what the MOTB / RFID So it should be clear what the MOTB is speaking of, which is the RFIDC. I was trying to find my words. Because once again, this is leading to that cashless society, which all be ran through that MOTB once again. And like I said, I already select myself like a broken record, but gotta get that point across. But Lord's will, the point was still made. Lord's will was edifying. I do want to close out and give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Shem, Shabbat, Shem, Dash, and Shalom. See you next one, Lord's will.